All right, everyone, get ready for the first of the horror block. This is Saw the Game with Juh0rse.
Hi. Hi, my name is Juh0rse. I'm not gonna be doing all the commentary, I'm just gonna be running the game. Welcome to Saw the Game, by the way. My throat is very hoarse. Puns. So shmumbler is gonna be taking over the whole commentary for my run. I wanna thank shmumbler for coming in last minute for my run. For this fundraiser. Shmumbler, you can take it away.
All right, hey everybody, I'm shmumbler. I run this game too, just not nearly as well as Juh0rse, but yeah, I'll be providing comms for our horse, little horse. And Juh0rse, if you're ready, I guess we can go ahead and get started.
Sure. 3, 2, 1, go.
I want to play a game.
So, little bit about Saw. Right off the bat, we're going to be thrown into a QuickTime event because this is like that homecoming era of Konami. This is a Konami game, by the way. So yeah, there's going to be lots of QuickTime events. We also have a bunch of these little combination locks throughout the game. None of them are random. That's going to come into play a lot throughout the run. But just some general information. We're playing Detective Tapp, who you may know from the first game. First movie. And the game is taking place between the first movie and the second movie. There is not a whole lot that happens in the first bit of the game, just kind of learning some mechanics. One thing that we are told right away is we don't have any shoes. And of course, the way that Jigsaw goes is everything is out to give us tetanus. There's broken glass strewn about the floor all throughout the game. If we step on it, we slowly lose health. So what you didn't probably see is Juh0rse taking very specific pathing to kind of weave and bob through all the little piles of broken glass. The way that this game is set up as well is into chapters based on other participants of Jigsaw's game that we are going to be trying to save. And to start, our first chapter is going to be saving Amanda. Which, you know, how many games has Amanda been through throughout this franchise? Like, good lord. So yeah, there's a pile of broken glass right there. Fun little bit here is Juh0rse actually going to try to grab a nail from this cart without triggering a cutscene, so you see he takes it a little slow there to avoid the trigger. If you go just a little bit in, that cutscene cannot be skipped, loses about a minute, and the door closes behind you, so it's really annoying anyway. Ooh. Sorry, I need to catch my breath a little bit. But this game is a game that is very filled with just very small, minute optimizations. There's a couple of big skips here and there, most notably in the next two chapters. But a lot of it is just very finicky small stuff, like right here with Juh0rse punching the wall there. You wouldn't even think about it, but for whatever reason, the wall takes more damage if you hit it on the right side versus on the left. Like it's 3 punches on the right, 5 punches on the left. So Juh0rse kind of squeezes himself against the wall to shorten the punching animation, break the wall faster to get through. And then another very small little, I guess you could maybe call it a bug, not really. When he grabbed the key out of that corpse, there's actually supposed to be a little animation where you cut it open with the scalpel, but by backing out of that and going back into it immediately, it actually skips that animation and just lets you grab the key right away. Also, as you can see right now, Juh0rse playing on a controller. We are playing the PC version because for timing purposes, there is a load time remover, and obviously that only works on the PC version. But The reason why we don't do mouse and keyboard is because those controls are absolutely terrible. Anytime you have a balancing segment, like what you just saw there, so how would you imagine a balance section would work on mouse and keyboard? To me, I would think, WASD, W to move forward, maybe the mouse to keep your balance. No. I want to say, what is it? Left click to move forward, and then no, it's
No, your whole mouse.
That's right. Yeah. No.
Your
So
whole
it
mouse.
is left and right on the mouse is your balance, but to move forward, you have to move your mouse physically forward, and it is the worst thing. It is nearly impossible to actually get to the end without falling off because, like, you can scroll the entire way up your desk. That is not going to get you all the way across the board. So imagine trying to lift your mouse up, put it back down without causing yourself to fall off. Now we've gotten a coupler from a nice, easy little puzzle, and that's going to give us one of our big sources of RNG for the run, which are coupler puzzles. You'll see that here in just a bit, but they come in 3 different sizes. There's a 3x3, a 5x5, and a 7x7. And thankfully, these aren't completely random. The way that the pieces are rotated are random, but each size has like a set pool of puzzles that it can pull from. I want to say it's like 7 different layouts for each. Actually, I think it might only be 5. But basically, the more you run this game, the more you have those patterns in your head. So for the most part, they aren't terrible. Just, some puzzles are better than others. I know this is a lot of info coming up really quickly, but that's just kind of how this game goes. It really tries to front load as many mechanics on you as it possibly can. Here's another fun little bit where we're supposed to be like going around the room to figure out the combination for this lock, but like I said earlier, any combination in this game is predetermined. So Juh0rse already knows the code is 579, puts it in, and we are on our way to saving Amanda. This is probably one of the more interesting things in a casual playthrough. Each person that you have to save throughout the game has a unique challenge to them, and what Amanda's is she's strapped to this machine that diverts antidote and poison, and it's like one of those little like falling ball things where it goes like to the left or the right based on how it hits the pins, except instead of pins we have little turny things. So what we're wanting to do is we want the red to go to the left, we want the blue to go to the right, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. The only thing that you really get here is that it's pretty easy to confuse yourself, and the positions of them at the start are random. So ideally, for perfect RNG, you would want a pattern.
Good RNG. This is actually good RNG.
Yeah. So basically, you want it so that you don't waste any of the castles. So you see the red and the blue going up the tubes there. You want it to go all the way to the top, and you see we didn't waste any bits there. Once we got to the top of the red, we didn't have to use any more reds. Once we got to the top of the blues, we go forward. And now phase 2 changes it just a little bit. Just to make it where, you see a couple of them have the 2s, and I don't know why, but this part always gets me. I get so confused and lost sometimes on where to divert them, but Juh0rse did a great job.
That was really like the best RNG.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've saved Amanda. Amanda's going to follow us for a little while. Emphasis on a little while. Tap is just terrible at keeping friends in this game. Something about him, I don't know.
you can read some donations, by the way, or any messages from here.
So I would love to take this time to remind everyone watching that we still have that bid war going for the ending for Saw. We have two options, the freedom ending or the truth ending. Freedom ending is currently at $25, truth ending at $5, and you can get your donations in very easily snipeable here to pick the ending for this run. We have until the end of the run, so we do have a little bit of time, but just wanted to remind you to get your donations in for that bid war before we get towards the end of this run.
This is actually like an auto-scroller section. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just about Jennings in general. So, you know, it's been such a long time since I run this game, I don't even really remember the people's personal stories. All I remember about Jennings is that he was a cop who framed a drunk driving incident on a person that he knew was always drunk at the bar to put the blame away from him. Arrested the guy, you know, left it under wraps. This is easily the most frustrating chapter of the game, though. Definitely the most reset heavy. We were talking about this before starting the run, but like I know Juh0rse has way more attempts in this game than I do, but even I have 330 attempts in this run. I've reset 300 of those. I've completed 30 runs. Most of those are to this chapter. And the reason being is there's just so many really finicky skips here. Right here, actually, we're waiting for a bit, but what you may not have noticed is Juh0rse actually dropped a scalpel before placing the, or before hitting the steam that blocked him off. And that is something that we're going to come back for later. Now, though, we've been abducted by Pighead. You might see that we are now sporting a fashionable new accessory. This is the shotgun collar, and this is going to be present the rest of the game. The way it works is certain other enemies that also have a shotgun collar will activate ours when we're in close proximity. For us, it continues to beep faster and faster while the enemy is in range. If we don't get out of range, our head explodes. However, for the enemy, it's the opposite. If we get far enough away from them, then it triggers theirs, and after a set amount of time of being too far away, their head will explode. Just makes things a little more dicey. You saw Juh0rse kind of close the door behind him just to block him away, keep him far enough away that we don't have to deal with him. Ooh, rough RNG there. We always try to look at the body, though, when we come back through, because item drops are random, so if you get lucky enough, you can get health items just from enemies around. And those are always good to have, because this is one game where you just cannot avoid taking damage in some spots. Now, though, Juh0rse's just got to solve another coupler puzzle in order to get back to where the steam was, place a valve, and we'll be on our way. We do have a little bit of free time here, though, if you have anything else that you want to say.
So we don't have any new donations in the last couple of minutes, but another reminder that I wanted to give everyone is that we are currently working on reaching a $3,000 milestone by the end of tonight in order to unlock a boss rush during our Metroid Dread run, along with the any % run that'll be happening already. We are really close to getting to $3,000. We are just $175 away. So remember that if you put that donation in, you can put it towards any of our bid wars, any of our incentives, and it will automatically go towards that total. So please get those donations in, because we are so close to hitting that $3,000, and that boss rush is going to be amazing. So get it in for the bidware for the freedom versus truth ending for Saw before the end of the run, and that'll automatically go towards that donation goal by the end of today.
Yeah, and for the freedom versus truth ending, if you want just a longer run, go for that truth ending. If you want to try to help the marathon out, get it a little bit more back on pace, then you can choose the freedom ending. Very different endings, to be frank. Truth ending actually has like just 2 or 3 minutes of additional gameplay tagged on to the end. Also, here's a fun little skip. This is what we like to call the steam maze. What you're supposed to do is go up and down ladders, find all these valves, redirect the steam so that you can go safely through. However, that one particular bit, you can like hit the wall at just the right angle, the tap's shoulder clips through it, and you don't actually touch the damaging area, the hitbox of the steam. So you can just walk right on through. Saves about 1.5 minutes. And then coming through here, if you did well on the maze skip and you don't get caught on any walls, you can just straight up run them through. You don't have to worry about it hitting you with the steam. But what you do have to worry about is this guy, because yeah, this guy is maybe one of the most annoying enemies in the game because it seems like no matter what you do, he just decides to hit you. Thankfully, we did have our scalpel that Juh0rse had dropped earlier. We grabbed that when we placed the valve so that we could bring it specifically here, because it makes it where we only have to punch him once. Otherwise, Boxhead is just a tanky guy. He'll take like 20 punches.
Hey, quick question about Boxhead. Were there eye holes in that box? Or
no, he's completely blind.
All right, makes sense. Knows exactly where you are. Definitely great aim.
Yeah. No, it's great. You can be directly behind him, barely moving at all, and then as soon as you hit the attack button, he'll just pivot 180 and punch you in the face.
Yeah, as all people with their head in a box would know to do. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Also, just because we saw a little bit of it, weapons in this game are kind of trash. As weird as it is to think that the scalpel is good because for most enemies it's just a one-hit kill, but most weapons in this game do like maybe double the damage of your punch. Also phase through a wall, why not? But the reason why they're so bad is because they have a lot of end lag. So you hit an enemy, they might be able to get a hit in return. Whereas if you just punch them, they're stun locked. You can literally go up to the tankiest enemy in this game and just throw out the standard punch and just keep going until they're gone. Nothing they can do about it.
You really can't argue with a good old-fashioned punch.
Yeah. You really can't. The punch won't let you. But we're about to come up on the actual big issue of this chapter. The maze skip is very finicky, but once you get used to it, it gets pretty consistent. After a little puzzle where Juh0rse is going to be pulling some pigs around to clear away, though, this is where things get hairy. There's going to be a thing where you have to wait for a timer to count down to 0 to release an enemy that is locked in a cage that has the key to go to the next area. That is horrendously slow. It's like it's either 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes, don't really remember. But what you can do is you can actually aggro him to come to the gate door. Don't mind the weird movement here. That's just to make sure that the free roaming enemies don't aggro. Because for whatever reason, only one enemy can aggro at a time. Oh, great. Thanks, buddy. Once you get rid of one, you might as well just do all the others. That's not great. Okay, so Juh0rse's really getting the rough end of the stick here. Yeah, so once an enemy that's not the cage guy aggroes, pretty much they're all going to come after you. And Juh0rse had the added misfortune of one of them getting stunned. And basically what that means is you either have to wait for them to get up to hurt them again, or you do a finishing move that is just horrendously slow by itself anyway. That said, he did still manage to kill the cage guy before the timer went off, so still a time save versus how the game intends you to do it. But now we get to Jennings' release puzzle. And this is our second puzzle type that the game likes to throw at us, gear puzzles. There's 3 different gear sizes. And basically what makes this part so hard is that as you're solving this puzzle, every now and then a cutscene plays that shows the blade dropping closer down to Jennings. So Juh0rse's trying to clear each puzzle before that cutscene plays, which, especially for this one, is very hard to do. So every time that cutscene drops, it's, automatic 4-second time loss, but still managed to make it through, no harm, no foul, and on to Melissa's chapter. Now, Melissa starts off with a choice. You can either go to the left or the right. The left is just a regular enemy gauntlet to have to fight your way through. On the right is a dark area that's filled with explosive barrels. So if you try to use your lighter to see, you're gonna catch fire and die. That said, the blind section is way shorter, so that's what we do. There are, thankfully, some lights on the ground that you can follow. Yeah. Even if you ignore all the enemies in the sighted part, just the sheer length of the hallways, it ends up taking way longer than doing that. And now that we're done with that, we actually have a bit of a skip. So this only really comes into play here, but Tap has the amazing ability to just zip on top of furniture. And in this particular instance, what that gets us is we can zip on top of the table, if he will let us. Come on, Tap. Get that booty up there. And then you can zip on top of that and just, walk through the wall. And the reason this saves so much time for the speedrun is because it avoids a coupler puzzle. So not only just doing the puzzle, but grabbing the coupler to unlock it. So now that we've done that, we can go through here, and here we see the third type of common puzzle, which is our valve puzzles. Not that we're actually going to do it, but we're going to grab the valve anyway, as well as a coupler that we need for a puzzle. And basically what's happening here is the room is filled with poison gas. You're supposed to use the valve to turn off the poison so that you can conveniently look for the coupler at your own leisure. But you can just break down the wall and leave the room, and the poison's no longer hurting you, so we just take the valve and hold it for a later poison room. Also, fun fact, some cutscenes you can walk through. That is one of them. And we love this guy. Boop. See you later, man.
Where'd he go?
Who knows? This is... I hate this part. So this is a part where if you don't play well, you're probably going to be a little low on health, which is already terrible because there's a couple drops that we do for speed. There's also a little bit of glass that you cannot avoid, so there is required health loss here. In addition, there's a couple tripwires, and even if you know where the tripwires are, if you don't hit it just right, the game will not accept your input and you will die, because any tripwire in this game is an instant death. So there's the glass we can't avoid. Now, up ahead, there's a little bit of scaffolding that has a ladder that we could go down. but ladders are slow. It's best to just drop, even though it puts us pretty close to death. And we gotta make sure that we get the right box with the key. All of the other ones are rigged to explosives. So, yeah. Jigsaw loves giving you a fair chance to survive, doesn't he? Anyway, now that we're through that, we're hitting another puzzle with another timer. Unfortunately, this is one that we cannot skip because we actually need the explosion that happens at the end to unlock a room with a key that allows us to go forward. So we're just going to be hanging out, healing, trying to solve this puzzle to get another heal. If you got anything you'd like to plug, go for it. We got 2 minutes to kill.
Yeah, so I've got a $50 donation here from Troubadour64. Thank you so much. This is a friend of mine, and it just says, "Hi, Spef." So, hey, Troubadour, what's up? And that went towards the Freedom ending. So we now have the Freedom ending at $75 versus a $5 for the Truth ending. So if you want to see that Truth ending, definitely get those donations in. Again, that's going to, you said, I think, extend the run by a couple of minutes. It's got some extra gameplay, some extra cool stuff to see. So get those donations in there if you want to flip that around. But thank you so much, Troubadour. And yeah, that brings us $125 away from hitting that $3,000 goal for the night. So we are, again, so incredibly close.
All right. Yeah, and the other thing about the Truth ending, too, is it also reveals Jigsaw's identity. And it may or may not be who you think. So if you want to see who Jigsaw really is, make sure you get that donation in. It really is funny how long this timer is, though. Like, even if you do the puzzle how you're supposed to, instead of just opening the lock like we do, you would still finish with so much time. I end up usually using this as practice time for the furniture zips. You can zip on top of all of these boxes pretty much. They're a little harder than the other pieces of furniture in the game, but...
I didn't know that you can do that.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help you any either. I tried so hard to figure out a way to maybe go through the top of the door or something, but no.
I do have another donation real quick. There's $2 in from Oz that says, "Can we hit the 1,000 by the end of this run? I'd love to see it. We need to see that boss rush." And again, that is for the Metroid Dread boss rush that will add to the Metroid Dread run tonight. And I agree. Let's try and hit that 1,000 by the end of this run. That would be incredible.
We definitely got the time.
We do.
I also just got to throw out a little fun bit here. That is the most unassuming door you can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
But don't let its appearance fool you. That is a bloodthirsty run killer right there. If you run down those stairs mashing the A button, hoping to open that door, that door will open the pits of the abyss to suck you in. By which I mean you just clip out of bounds and fall through the ground and die. But yeah, you actually have to make sure that you don't touch anything until you're basically rubbing against the door. Otherwise, run's dead.
Otherwise, you have to do 2 minutes of that waiting part all over again.
Yeah, the whole timer.
Yeah.
Anyway, once we get through these little monologues, recordings, whatever you want to call them, there is another puzzle coming up where we're looking for the key to leave, and the only thing that we get is something like it's with the angel or something like that. Thankfully, like everything else, it's not random. We know exactly where it is. So before we go get the key, we're going to grab coupler. In order to solve this, to even start the puzzle. And when we go to get the key, the room with the key has an enemy in it. But all you have to do is just, open the door and he gets stuck. Okay, he didn't get stuck, but usually he gets stuck. Doesn't really matter because you have to wait for Jigsaw to finish his spiel there before the door actually will open. And, stun locking is thing. So, yeah, no real time lost there. This guy, however, he can be a bit of a pain. Not to fight, he's exactly the same as everybody else, you just stun lock him to death. But that box on his hand is an explosive, and it goes off whenever he dies. So if you are standing anywhere within 10 feet of him, you're gonna die too. So always make sure that you take a few steps back, preferably around a corner, and just let him do his thing. As soon as he blows up, you can grab the bit that he has, no problem. He'll still be on fire, don't have to worry about that. But now that we're done with that, we're finally going to be able to reach Melissa and do her fun little game, which is like a sliding block puzzle. There is a very small amount of RNG with this. There are 3 puzzles that you have to solve. The first one, and I think the last one, are always the same, but the second one has 2 different possibilities that it can be.
The first one and the second one are the same.
Oh, it's the third one that changes?
Third one changes.
Okay. And basically, all that difference means is just, one of them has more moves, but the moves are a lot shorter, so it ends up being a little bit quicker. Casually, this can be a bit of a nightmare, though, because there are X's across the playing area, and every time you cross an X, it moves one step closer to those saw blades just collapsing in on Melissa like a Venus flytrap. And of course, we don't want that to happen, but the fun part about these puzzles is it actually allows you to make inputs before the camera has settled back. So for the most part, as you can see, we're not even watching Juh0rse solve the puzzles, he's just solving it blind. And yeah, that was pretty good.
Melissa,
So now we have Melissa. She's gonna hang out with us for a little while. And by a little while, I mean exactly like everybody else. She's gonna just abandon us right here. So say goodbye, Melissa.
Goodbye, Melissa.
And now we are in Oswald's chapter. And Oswald is a particular prick. Oswald is a journalist, and what Oswald has done to end up in Jigsaw's game is Oswald has basically written article after article about how Detective Tapp is secretly the Jigsaw killer, and the reason why the cops aren't succeeding at catching Jigsaw is because Jigsaw is a cop. And Jigsaw takes issue with that, apparently. Jigsaw decides that he doesn't want Tapp to take credit for his crimes. He wants to take credit for his crimes, and he wants Tapp to be recognized for the good police work he's doing in not catching him. But this has a few puzzles. I want to say, yeah, this... Hang on. this is where we get introduced to the gear puzzles outside of Jennings' endgame, right?
Yeah. It's the boxes, yeah.
Yeah, so this is also a skip that really isn't a skip. Here, what we're supposed to do is there's a puzzle where we go into the bathroom, close the door behind us, and in the mirror there's a code. The code's always it. First off, that's such a simple puzzle. It's literally you just walk into the bathroom and you already see that the number's on the wall. You just have to close the door. But it tells you the number of the room that you need to go to. And here's our gear puzzle. This is random. This is actually a pretty good one. But the different layouts that are there, there's one particular one that's only like 3 years that you have to place down and you're done. But there's another one that you have to do like a full circle across the entire game board, and that one's terrible. That one, pretty good.
How does it feel to be judged?
What we got out of that box was a puzzle piece, and we need that puzzle piece for a puzzle, obviously. Yeah. You have to complete a puzzle in order to actually get to Oswald. And unfortunately, this is a puzzle where we actually have to get everything we need for it. No way to skip a big part of the chapter here. Also, congratulations on not ruining that guy's life. Never mind. God bless it. Juh0rse, look what you did.
I didn't do anything, I swear.
That guy has like 2 voice lines, so like 99% of the time he will just come out and say, "You ruined my life." And then we never see him again. So, okay. I don't know who you are, I don't know what we did to you, but I'm sorry. At least we're not gonna kill you, I guess. Anyway, this is fairly, like, actually a bit dangerous. There's gonna be some significant time saves that we can do by not skipping anything per se, but just avoiding ladders. Instead, we take drops, and we have to be very mindful of our health here, because 2 particular drops that are back to back, if you have anything less than, say, 90% of your health, you're not surviving. Also, the area that you have to drop onto is fairly small, and if you miss it, you will die.
Words are powerful, Oswald, but so are actions.
These doors are so slow. I forget how slow these doors are, wow.
Yeah, even with like SSDs.
Anyway, those guys are gonna fight it out. One of them will succeed. It is never the bat guy. It was the bat guy like once, and I was very surprised when that happened. But yeah, we'll see them in a bit. This is the tower that we actually dropped down from. But first we need to grab our second puzzle piece in this room. Hopefully Juh0rse doesn't get punched. Alright, guy was friendly. So now Juh0rse's gonna drop down onto this platform, immediately go backwards to land back where we started, and Rhino there really wanted to get a piece of you. For the most part, you usually don't actually have to worry about the enemy, but that was a swing. He really was coming after you. And this is where we get to use the valve that we collected earlier. If it wasn't for this, we would need to use a nail, do a lock-picking minigame to get into the room next to us and find a valve in there. But we can just do it and complete the puzzle before Jigsaw even has a chance to finish his monologue. So we've got both of our puzzle pieces. We're going to lay them down, complete a puzzle, and this is unfortunately one of those puzzles where you're just swapping pieces. They are random, and yeah, a lot of the pieces look very similar to each other. This is, in my opinion, probably the easiest part to lose time on. Now that we're done with that, we can go into Oswald's room. And what is Oswald's puzzle? About 3 back-to-back couplers. So we got a 3x3. And we step up to a 5x5. I wonder how long the third one is. Alright, and there's our first 7x7, and you can see just how much of a pain these are. Thankfully, Juh0rse pretty much knows all the patterns, so he can just zoom right through. And yes, this is zooming.
Oh my god, that's like a TV on this one.
Yeah. Usually finishing out Oswald, you're gonna be lucky if you have anything above a 310 left on that timer. 315.
That looks like an IL world record, by the way. I don't know why. Yeah, by Oswald.
You know, I feel like the funniest thing is that everybody else's challenge in this game is, hey, someone's coming to save you, you need to trust them. And then just literally none of them do that.
But this subject does not wish escape. He wants to experience my games firsthand.
Obi.
This is your worst fear, detective.
Obi.
You overcome your hatred to save a life.
First off, I already don't like this chapter just because it's extremely easy to hit a tripwire and die at several points. Second off, Obi, I think, is probably my least favorite character in this game. Obi's entire purpose in life is that he wants to survive a Jigsaw game. That's it. So, Jigsaw reluctantly acquiesces and gives Obi a game that he knows that Obi will not enjoy. Because Obi's a masochist. He'll take pain. Pain doesn't bother him. Also by whoever that was. So rather than doing a standard game where you have to endure pain and torture and all of that in order to escape, Jigsaw just tells him basically, hey, you know how you want to succeed at a game? Well, in order to succeed at a game, you have to do nothing and wait. So, you know, like everyone else, we gotta go to the rescue. And even though we do save him, he hates us for it. Because we ruined his game.
Is this it? The test? A test? You waste your life looking for tests. Looking for...
A little monologue explaining pretty much what I just said. You know, Juh0rse, I know you like to stomp around, make a lot of noise, but maybe you should try to avoid attracting attention.
Sorry.
You've attracted some attention.
That guy right there.
Also, like, I don't know how you always get that so late. I always end up triggering the you attracted some attention, like, before I even get to the couplet puzzle.
It's really RNG.
Seems very consistent for the RNG though.
I don't know.
At this point, we're just kind of ducking and diving, avoiding some guys. There is actually a guy that's around here, but thankfully we didn't even see him. He can get in the way, but usually you get what happened here where, you know, he sees you like vaguely running past him, runs into a completely different room, and waits out the timer and gets his head blown off. So we avoided that. We have the key item to continue onward. Mandatory fall there that puts you pretty close to death, and this guy, if you aren't careful, can hit you and just, again, end your run. So a lot of people doing the run will actually go ahead and heal as soon as they hit the floor, but Juh0rse decided to play it a little risky and just go for it, which, you know, 90% of the time is fine. That guy honestly has pretty terrible aim. But the 10% of the time it does happen feels really bad. I also feel like casually this is kind of where the game sort of started falling apart for me, because this is where it really drives home that the game really only has 3 types of puzzles. So all that's standing between our way, or between us and Obi now, is 2 rooms. Kind of. And in those 2 rooms are a couple of puzzle gauntlets, so enjoy your 5 coupler puzzles.
Yeah, 5.
This one's not so bad, it's just 2 5x5s. The next one is where it gets bad because you also have a timer, there's traps, and there's 7x7s. Ooh, good RNG there. So Juh0rse got the coupler in the first place he looked. There are actually 3 lockers, and it's totally random which one it's in. Hopefully that RNG will continue into the next room, because we're actually going to be relying on a bit of RNG in order to do a skip later on in the run.
Oh yeah, I found out it's not RNG anymore.
Oh, it's not?
No, you can find all 4 couplers. It's, I don't know, like Juh0rse was telling me that you can find all four couplers.
Hey, nice T-pose, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite part is if you move back now, he will actually get back into his animation. Yep.
I understand.
Yeah, we'll see you later, bud. But yeah, so there's an extra coupler that you don't actually have to use in this area, so we go ahead and grab that. Ooh, that's not great.
Didn't know he was gonna come in that fast.
Yeah, he
Like, buddy.
he usually kind of waits by the door for a bit, so that wasn't great. On the bright side, he is very polite and waits for us to solve puzzles. Seven by sevens are really rough, even if you know all of the different, like, possible pools. It really just doesn't matter. Like, they're just so big, it's so easy to get confused or get lost on what you're doing. Jeez. That was rough.
That is the coupler that I was talking about. It's not RNG. It's just hidden there. And I never checked it ever. Until like Juh0rse was like, yeah, there's 4 couplers.
So usually what you hope for it to happen is for that to be in the table immediately as you walk into the room, or one of the lockers outside of the first 7x7. That is just a really terrible place for it to be. But what that coupler allows us to do is, like, the very end of the game, there's a coupler puzzle that you have to do, And you also are supposed to find the coupler at that point while in a poison room. The coupler puzzle is also in the poison room too, so the whole time you're solving it, you're taking damage, and the idea is that you have to solve the puzzle before you die. That coupler allows us to just go straight to the puzzle and try to solve it without ever needing to heal, rather than scrambling blindly for a coupler while our health slowly ticks away.
All I'm gonna say is maybe you have hated Detective Tap in Dead by Daylight because he's in Dead by Daylight as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I always like to say that this game is like a spin-off to Dead by Daylight.
Well, I mean, what's more frustrating, generators or peace valve puzzles? So the thing about Obi's puzzles, there's 3 different ones. They are always the same, but the rotations are random. So it's really just a matter of identifying what the layouts that you're given are and correcting them as quickly as possible. There are like some easy visual references that you can look for to know that you have them in the right spot. That don't.
Oh, am I... Okay, cool. I thought I was gonna get this off log.
Wait, you mean is there like a specific thing that causes it? I thought it was just random.
The T-posing one. If I accidentally get out of the puzzle way too early once it's done, Obi could... No, is it Obi? No, Tap.
No, it's Tap. Yeah, Tap T poses,
Yeah.
and yeah, it plays the whole cutscene and then just stays there, and you don't get to continue the game. It's great.
Yeah, I thought I did it way too early.
I also like how you just stuck your arm in a vat of acid, and your health does not go down at all.
You're throwing away your life.
Literally, the only time that your health goes down from that is if you fail the puzzle completely. Anyway, this is Jeff's chapter. Jeff's chapter is like a 3-part puzzle where you have to go around a huge area, collect lights to find a combination. But yeah, remember that whole thing about them being predetermined? Anyway, here's the end of Jeff. We're going to play a game match. A little different from your standard game. They aren't completely identical images. You have to match the corresponding pieces. So we have the 3 puzzle pieces and the remaining puzzle piece. You have a foot there that goes along with a handsaw, a piece of film that goes with a camcorder, tape recorder with a tape, heart with an EKG strip. You get it. This is just pure random. You can get really good layouts where everything just kind of matches as you're going, or you can get what this is, where everything is very spread out. And honestly, like, there are times where you may not even find the match before Jeff dies. But made it through. That's another chapter down, and now we are in the final chapter. So, if you still want to sway the tides of truth ending versus freedom ending, this is going to be your last chance to do it. We have about 2 or 3 minutes before we hit the point of no return.
And as a reminder, sorry to interrupt, that freedom ending is at $75 and truth ending is at $5. So get those donations in, but right now it is looking like the freedom ending.
And also, as a reminder, the freedom ending is the short one. If you want a little bit more Saw, get your donations in for truth. We will have until we see Juh0rse himself standing at the pulpit, staring down at us, and then we'll call it. So like I said, that's about 2 minutes from now. So right now we're kind of heading towards a big boss encounter with Pighead. And that is going to be the reason why we have been holding a revolver this entire game. So the revolver is only found in that one chapter of the game. So we go ahead and grab it, don't use it on anyone, bring it here because it does exactly the amount of damage we need to kill Pighead. If you miss a single shot, it's not good. Pighead is not only extremely tanky, but every time you get within melee range of Pighead, he does a random roll. And there's a 25% chance that instead of a punch or a kick or other melee attack, he will grab you and start choking you and put you into a quick time event. And that is horrifically slow. So Juh0rse has the golden aim here. Took down Pighead no problem and is going to head on to the next area.
You have killed my servants. Soon be a living person.
Now we get to listen to Jigsaw talk while we wait for him to unlock the valve. This is going to be another poison room problem, but we pretty well solved the puzzle before we even start taking damage.
Your final choice lies ahead.
Also, just, a fun little fact. There's only 3 layouts for the valve puzzles, and the 2 non-standard layouts for it are in Obi's final puzzle. The rest of them are pretty much all the same, just rotated.
My story ends now.
Anyway, there's our 2 endings. We're not ready for them quite yet. We still have a little ways to go. Said this is where it gets cut off, but maybe about a minute left.
Time is wasting, detective. I won't wait forever.
We have to do one last gauntlet before Jigsaw allows us to make our choice of freedom versus truth. First one is a ladder maze. This actually is supposed to take quite a while, but, Tap's shoulder kind of dislocates, so we can just clip right through there and get straight to the end. Also have, a little water balancing part that's got some steam. You're supposed to, go to the right here to loop around and turn off the steam to get safely through, or, you can just have good timing. Another puzzle trivialized by our little horse. And now the final challenge. This is the room I was talking about before. This is where we're going to be doing a 7x7 coupler in the poison. And if Juh0rse does really well, he'll get through without having to use a hypo. At this point, I would say, yeah, we'll need to go ahead and cut off the bid war. So, did we manage to make any truth progress?
There will be no truth today. The freedom ending has won. Which I believe is also the canon ending, if I'm remembering correctly. Something like that.
It is the canon ending.
So for those of you who are fans of the Saw canon, you've won today.
It is true. So basically what would have happened if we did the truth ending is Juh0rse would have one last puzzle to solve.
Oh wait, time. There we go. That's
See,
time. Sorry.
I'm so used to the extra 2 minutes. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, so Freedom ending, Tap is depressed that he never figured out the truth behind Jigsaw and unalives himself. So we're sorry, Tap. The other ending, we would have found out that Jigsaw in this game was not actually Jigsaw. It's actually Melissa, dressed up as Jigsaw with her mouth sewn shut. And Melissa fails her well, she doesn't fail her task. We end up shooting her, I think, and killing her. But then Tap gets locked into a room and dies locked away. So there are no happy endings in Saw. And yeah,
I crashed. I crashed.
every time the game ends, it crashes. So there's the true Saw experience. I'm glad you all could share it. Juh0rse, great run. Thanks for having me on as commentary.
Yeah. I'm gonna say a few words. Sorry, I'm still a bit hoarse. Thanks to thanks for having me, by the way. Thanks to shmumbler for commentating my runs. Last minute, by the way, because I asked him yesterday to help me with my runs because I'm kind of sick for the past couple of days. Thanks to Blackheart Wings for bringing me into this fundraiser, and hope your move is going will go smooth.
Well, thank you so much, Juh0rse, for that incredible run, and thank you, shmumbler, for the amazing commentary, especially last minute. Y'all are awesome.